So I think what Sophie Winkleman is failing to understand is that there are many different facets of how technology gets used. She's bundling together all of screen time when we need to start thinking about screen use. And I've said this before, if a science teacher has the Bunsen burners going in that chemistry lab, and after 10 minutes it goes, right, you've had your 10 minutes of Bunsen time, that would never happen. So she's failing to understand that there are many different facets of how technology gets used and that not all screen time is the same. It's how we use the devices to enable learning that really makes an effective difference. And I think if technology is going to do something towards promoting inclusive education and accessible education, is Kahoot actually the opposite way around in that we promote the fastest, the meritocracy of our student body all the way to the top, even though those that didn't have a chance to access it in quite the same way aren't given that chance? And is that completely fair?
So here's my question to you then. How can we slow this down and encourage more thoughtful responses rather than the speed?
A wonderful question. I reckon it lives in collaboration. So rather than getting students to answer by themselves, there's a couple of things they could do. They could do a kind of a classic, like a think, pair, share. So it's not based on time. We can get rid of the timer. We can get the students to talk to each other about the answer first and then put the result in. So if the result is the correct one, brilliant, they get the points. But the fact that they've talked about it and they've got that deeper thinking about the answer means that hopefully their memory and engagement within the questions is greater. Their longer term memory will accept it in their memory locker for a bit longer.
So Edpuzzle solves a number of problems that teachers might experience with flipped learning, right? The first one, and a big one for me, is that accountability we talked about earlier. Edpuzzle allows you to track who's actually watched the video, and it doesn't allow students to skip to the end of the video and say they've watched it. You have to actually sit there and watch the video. Whether you're engaging with it is a different question, but you at least have to play that video and get to the end without skipping forward, which I think is actually a really clever idea.
Yeah, that's really good, because what we actually need to do is to make sure that what we're setting our students is done, so that the
Yeah.
teacher's job, when the application comes in, they know that they're not having to mop up because the students haven't watched something, and then therefore you're just doing what you wanted them to do out of the class, back in the class, creating that two-tier system of, well, we've got some that have, some that haven't.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just leveling the playing field, and again, making sure that all students are rising at the same time.
I would bet my bottom dollar that 90% of teachers don't know that Immersive Reader is already on student laptops. As long as you've got the latest version of everything, it's going
It's
to be
built into
there.
Windows itself.
Built into Windows, it's built into Word, into all the other apps. OneNote. In OneNote, it's particularly powerful. Actually, it's good in Word, but it's got more functionality in OneNote. But the number of times that teachers have said to me, "I didn't even know that was there," that they're assuming they're going to have to get something else, but it's already built in. So Immersive Reader allows children or students, adults, anyone actually, to access text in a way that suits their needs. One of the best features of Immersive Reader is line focus. Line focus allows you to focus in on one line of text at a time, and it lights line
and everything else is taken away. There is no fuss,
or
like the operating system is taken
you
away.
just see
It's
that line.
just the text, and it's just the words.
It's beautiful. It puts it in full screen, I think, doesn't it? You just see a line, or you can focus in on 3 lines or 5 lines. But from a proofreading point of view, or a check-in point of view, or for children that have got dyslexia, where their words might move and letters might move, just being able to look at one line at a time and get rid of all that noise. I'm thinking from an ADHD point of view as well, for students that really struggle to focus. That's the
It's
idea.
that focus that's amazing. So the text options are absolutely outrageous. So you can do things like increase and decrease the size of the text. You can increase the line spacing between the text. You can change the background color. And they've done their research in terms of the colors that best support who have visual difficulties. You can change the font. They've got dyslexia-friendly fonts. Absolutely amazing. It has unlocked for me the way that we talk about technology in the classroom, because it asks two fundamental questions. What is a student's relationship with technology? And how does a teacher's use of technology change compared to traditional usage? Those two questions alone are quite interesting. The fact that they are then paired up against each other in the form of a 3 by 3 matrix is absolutely genius, because you get to very quickly work out any lesson, any use of technology in a lesson, within about 30 seconds, you can put an X that marks the spot anywhere on that. And for 99% of lessons, you'll be able to work out where you are as a practitioner with your tech integration. But not only that, you can work out, how can I take one step up or one step across in order to improve my practice? So not only is it a framework for improvement, it's an evaluative model that teachers themselves can use.
The idea of using AI to help you build questions with decent detractors. I've used quizzes now a few times. I mean, there are very similar tools available, but quizzes just seems to be great. You type in your topic, what age group you'd like it for. It asks you asks you to kind of define it further, and then it will give you question types. And I know from being in the classroom, it used to take me ages to make Kahoots. I used to spend half an hour a day at least building that kind of content. So leaning on something like that, saving me a couple of hours a week, I think is genius and very easily done as well.